Michelle Evans, who has come out and claimed in now a civil suit that Shannon Sharpe sexually assaulted her, has spoken out in an interview about the allegations. Let's take a listen to Michelle speaking on her alleged rape.
What happened that day?
It was fighting. It was the biggest argument that we ever got in. You know, he was manhandling me beforehand, and he wanted to have sex, and I told him no, because you gave it to somebody else. I didn't only tell him no, I told him why. He wouldn't take no for an answer, so he overpowered me, put me to my knees, put his penis in my mouth, and after he got enough of that, he put me on the bed, and, you know, this was all a struggle. So I had said no. It was the hardest. Yeah, this is too hard. I remember he got dressed. He knew what he did, and so, you know, I just kind of escorted him out the door.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You just smelling that?
No, I wasn't talking about the smell, but go ahead.
Oh, never mind.
What? Oh.
I smelled it earlier, though. I know what you're talking about.
All right.
And then she talks about, because I think a lot of people have a question of why didn't she go and file a police report at the time? She talks about that as well. Let's take a listen.
He started coming at me. If I tell anybody, he'll use everybody he knows to destroy me, which he basically has. Then he started making other threats against my life. He just was so worried that it would get out, and I wasn't going to do anything. He told me he was watching me, and all that. I just went and got a protective order. Unfortunately, shortly after, he doxed me, and my address got out, and I had somebody stop by my apartment, and somebody came up to my door and said, "Shut up," screamed it at the top of their lungs. And I had my daughter in there right there, and I was like, oh no. And so I went in and I dropped it, because also at my house, somebody came and sat out front in the driveway while my daughter was there alone.
Why didn't you file a police report when he raped you?
Because I was scared for my life. Everybody he knows, and he knows lots of police officers. So I didn't know that if I went down there, that would be one of the people that he knows.
Now, this has been an interesting conversation following the claims that have come from the $50 million lawsuit that was filed by the OnlyFans woman that Shannon Sharpe also named. Because even in this interview, she speaks directly to her, and she's like, I know what you're going through, because the same thing happened to me. She mentioned that her address allegedly was leaked. She also talked about a time where she was working at CNN, and Shannon Sharpe had gotten an interview with the job, and during the interview he talked about the fact that the protective order was dropped, but it was centered allegedly at that time as if it was dropped because it wasn't substantial. Right. She says that it went a different way. Let's take a listen to this last audio.
But then he started going on television. He came to my job, Turner Broadcasting, went on TV at CNN, and it was my job to put the videos from up to YouTube for CNN. So I'm putting up this video, and here I see Shannon at my job talking about domestic violence, and the co-host mentioned that, oh, you had one that was just totally dropped, made it look like the police dropped it, not that I had gone down and withdrawn it. It had created a picture that wasn't accurate.
Now, she's
So
claiming...
she had pressed charges against Shannon back in the day?
She had asked for a protective order, which would make it where he can't come within, like a certain radius of her and things of that nature.
She did it back then, or she didn't?
She did it back then, okay. But she said that so according to Michelle Evans, she went to, police and said, can y'all just drop this? I wanted to go away, because she alleges that she was basically being like taunted. Like people would pop up and her daughter was around. So she didn't want her daughter, anything to happen. She feared for her life, allegedly, right? But when Shannon Sharpe's team responded to this, they called her claims ridiculous and completely without merit. They say that, and then they point to the fact that this case is still ongoing, the defamation suit that she filed in 2023, and that a judge denied her request for an order of protection. And he had mentioned this in the beginning, probably like a couple weeks ago, he dropped a statement that I received, and they called this, just people coming out of the woodworks to try and share a connection with Shannon Sharpe in an attempt to profit off of a relationship. They say it's, her alleged targeting is purposeful, designed to create a fabricated narrative. But when this video came out, people were, because we were trying to figure out who Michelle Evans was. I think a lot of people didn't remember that suit back in 2023.
So this is all familiar, pretty much new.
That white lady name is Michelle Evans?
Yes.
So is that the Michelle in the live?
She hasn't confirmed that she was or was not the Michelle in the live, but I doubt it because they've been going through legal litigations for almost 15 years now. So I doubt that he would have been on live with Homegirl. I hope not.
Well, you said 2023.
But this all of their issues began in 2010.
Got you.
Yes, and that's when there was since 2010 to now there's been a protective order that was then not a protective order anymore, and the defamation lawsuit that is still
She was
ongoing.
cheating on her husband with him.
Yes, that's what she says. Yep. Hey y'all, it's Lauren LaRosa from The Breakfast Club. Sorry to interrupt, but y'all know how I do. So I'm here to talk about Top Dog Law. Y'all hear Top Dog Law all over your radio, and I know by now that if you want top dollar, you should also know this. You gotta call Top Dog Law if it's about your car accident. Don't let these little family lawyers finesse you into a little check. Shouldn't nothing belittle this season. Remember, for any serious accident, injury case, Top Dog Law gets you top dollar. So make sure you call today to find out what your car accident, your slip and fall, or your construction accident case could really be worth. And calling Top Dog Law is completely free also. It's free for a consultation. Call Top Dog Law today to see if your case is eligible for compensation with no money down. So make sure y'all go holla at my dogs, no pun intended, over at Top Dog Law. That's Top Dog Law on Instagram and topdoglaw.com. Now, let's get back to The Breakfast Club. Monique over the weekend too had something to say about the Shannon Sharpe stuff on stage. I believe she was in Indianapolis. You know, she's still touring and hitting the stages. Let's take a listen.
Yes, I told that Shannon Sharpe, leave that white.
Yeah,
What did she say?
She said, "Yeah, we can't really hear well." She
white shalom.
Yeah, she was talking about the clip from her on Club Shay Shay where she's telling him to leave the young girls and the white women alone. Yeah,
Crazy.
So all of this is like one thing after the other with the Shannon Sharpe situation, but he still is denying all allegations.
Of course.
Has he said anything recently? I haven't heard.
No.
So the last statement that he dropped, it was like early last week, which was what I would just read from. They basically gave this long statement that said all of this is purposeful. These women know what they're doing allegedly. It's a shakedown. We're not going to keep addressing these things because these are fabricated stories. And every time I reach back out for any additional statements, I did do that today because of the interview, and I did it on Sunday. They normally point to this statement, but I'll see if they give me anything additional.
But Michelle Evans is still married, right?
Oh, I don't know if she's still with her man or not.
And didn't she say something in an interview like I don't know if I was cheating at the time or something like that? It was a weird line that was kind of weird.
She couldn't remember. I thought that was weird too. She couldn't remember whether she actually broke up with, because she said she alleges that Shannon Sharpe wanted her to break up with her husband, but she got upset because he had a girl in his house that he moved out and then moved another girl in and she didn't know. So she didn't want to have sex with him allegedly the day when he showed up and allegedly raped her because she was mad because he was dealing with other women, but wanted her to himself allegedly. But she couldn't remember whether she cut it off with her husband or not.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is the latest with Lauren. Charlamagne, who you giving your donkey to?
Man, 4 after the hour. Speaking of distressed white women, we need Shiloh Hendricks to come to the front of the congregation. We'd like to have a word with her, please.
All right. We'll get to that next. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Check out video of the full show on Tubi. Free. Classic interviews and more on Tubi every day, all day long, all for free. Just search Breakfast Club and grab your popcorn.